It started with a voice that didn't belong in my afternoon sharp and certain cutting through the noise like it owned the place. Hey, turn around. 3 words, no question, no explanation. Just authority dropped on the sidewalk like it was mine to carry. And, yeah, that was the moment everything changed, even though at the time it felt like nothing. Just another Tuesday bright sun bouncing off glass storefronts, music leaking out of a boutique I couldn't afford anyway. People laughing, shopping, living, and me standing there waiting for my ride with my phone in my hand doing exactly what everyone always tells you to do, minding your own business. I honestly didn't think he meant me at first, you know what I mean? That half second of doubt where your brain tries to protect you, tries to say, nah, this can't be about you, but then the voice came again closer, louder. I said, turn around, now. So I stopped, slow hands, visible phone still in my palm, that muscle memory kicking in before emotion ever could, and I turned to face him. White uniform shirt, sunglasses, hand already hovering near his belt like it lived there, like it had been waiting for this moment. I said, calm, steady, I'm on a public sidewalk. Have I done something wrong? He stepped closer anyway, too close, invading that space that's supposed to be yours, but never really is when someone decides it isn't. You're causing a disturbance, he said. I almost laughed, almost because behind him people were everywhere talking, carrying bags, nobody looking twice at us yet. Nothing disturbed except his sense of control. What disturbance, I asked, and that was it. You could feel the air change, shoulders squared, jaw tightened, the switch flipped. Don't argue with me, he snapped, and then casual as anything, you people always think you know the law. There it was, quiet, practiced like he'd said it 100 times before. A few feet back stood another officer, younger, quieter, watching, and I noticed him because I've learned to notice everything in moments like that. His posture, his eyes, the way he wasn't relaxed but wasn't aggressive either, just observing. I said, still calm, I'm waiting for my car, I'm not blocking anyone, I haven't broken any law. Someone nearby slowed down. Another person lifted their phone just a little, like they weren't sure yet. You were told to move and you refused, he said. On what legal basis are you detaining me, I asked, and I could tell that question hit harder than any raised voice ever could. I don't need to explain myself to you, he said. Actually, you do, I replied, same tone, same volume, and after that the sidewalk felt heavier, not quiet, just tense, like everyone subconsciously leaned in. The second officer shifted his weight and finally spoke low. Hey, what's going on? She's being uncooperative, the first one snapped. Uncooperative, how his partner asked, and I knew exactly what he meant by questioning him by not folding fast enough. I'm asserting my rights, I said, meeting the second officer's eyes. I'm not resisting. The first officer reached for my arm, turn around, and then the metal clicked too fast, 2 final cuffs closing cold and tight around my wrists. A woman nearby gasped. Someone said, this isn't right, and I exhaled slowly, not because I was scared, but because panic is expensive and I wasn't paying that price today. You're making a serious mistake, I said evenly. The second officer froze just enough, looked at his partner and said, she's not resisting. She should have listened. Came the reply, already walking me toward the patrol car. Phones fully raised now. No more pretending this was nothing. As we moved, I leaned my head slightly toward the second officer. Quiet meant just for him. You might want to verify who you're arresting. Some mistakes don't end at the curb. He hesitated just long enough, and that calm you saw, that wasn't luck, that didn't come out of nowhere. I didn't grow up trusting authority. I grew up studying it, watching who it protected and who it crushed for breathing wrong dinner conversations about court cases instead of sports. About neighbors stopped for no reason, about rules that bent depending on who stood in front of them. I learned early how tone changes outcomes, how anger gets weaponized against you, how calm gets mistaken for weakness or arrogance, depending on who's watching. In college, I studied government by day and worked nights filing complaints for a civil rights firm, stacks of files filled with people who never made the news, humiliated, detained, hurt, because someone with power felt challenged. Law school sharpened that fire into something colder, cleaner, taught me how reports are written, to sound reasonable, how missing details matter more than false ones, and after clerking for a judge who tore unlawful stops apart line by line, I went where the work was ugly, suing cities, departments, officers who thought a badge was armor. Over time, my name started carrying weight panels, trainings, cases people whispered about, not because I chased it, but because accountability has a way of following you whether you want it or not. Back on that sidewalk, the patrol car door opened, plastic seat scratched divider the inside of every story I'd ever read. And I lowered myself in, slowly, deliberately making sure every movement was visible, adjusting so the cuffs wouldn't cut deeper, the door slamming harder than necessary. Outside, voices overlapped. "This is illegal." She didn't do anything. Someone filming without saying a word at all. The car pulled away. Up front, the first officer drove like nothing was wrong, jaw set, eyes forward, telling himself this was routine, that authority needs to be asserted early, or chaos follows. The second officer stayed quiet, then finally asked, "What exactly are we booking her on?" "Disorderly conduct," came the answer. "Based on what conduct?" Silence then. She refused to leave. She challenged me. I listened from the back seat, that language so familiar, vague, slippery, the kind that fills depositions and apologies that come too late. "I'm invoking my right to remain silent and requesting counsel," I said, and nobody responded. At the station, the fluorescent lights hummed, keyboards clicked. Someone laughed down the hall about something completely unrelated, and the desk officer asked for my name while my arrest got narrated like